questions, we have the answers.
Right.
Go to ssnatl.com and click on the contact tab. As much as you like. We're the nation's urban station. Online. ssnatl.com.
And we are back with Financial Renaissance with the M's. I hope you are having a blessed Sunday morning. I'm kind of pumped up. I'm really pumped up this morning. We are talking about business ownership. And I want to talk about Hong Kong and what's going on the other side of the world, right? Hong Kong is a country that, they were a piece of China, if you will, just like we used to be a part of the United Kingdom, except they're attached. So the people in Hong Kong want to be known as a sovereign nation, meaning they don't want anything to do with China. They want to be on their own. And I've got to tell you, when it comes to revolutions, when it comes to independence, when it comes to things like that, you have to think about people's dignity. And when you pull away people's ability to make decisions for themselves, to earn a wage that makes them feel proud, or to be able to do what they want to do for their own families, things start to get a little squirrely, especially if they can see that in other places people are able to do what they want. So people always look at us in the United States as that symbol of being able to live on your own and do things your own way. So let's look at what Hong Kong has done. They're doing the same thing that we did about 267 years when we declared our independence from Europe or from England. And one of the things that you need to know about declaring independence means that you don't want the safety net of a bigger company, a bigger country, or your parents, because there's three types of ways to declare independence. One, for a country. Two, could be you're working in corporate America and declare your independence as a business owner. I think I can do this on my own. I don't need anybody's help. I can do bad by my darn self. Yes. And then also teenagers do it sometimes. As they get older, they may decide sometimes at age 17 that they don't want to live at home anymore, or they want to go pursue a dream, in Hollywood or, in Atlanta to do something in black entertainment or whatever the case is. But there are different times when people declare their independence. And again, declaring your independence means, you don't have to listen to people. No one has to tell you how much money to make or when to go to school, tell you when to come home or to go home. And when we think about corporate America, we are being, it's a strong suggestion, but there's a time frame for you to show up and for you to also go home. They also tell you how many hours to work. And then the traditional methods of problem solving tend to is where we have the rub between the independence. There's one generation wanting to kind of break away from the previous generation. And that usually has to do with when people don't want to pay attention to methods of solving problems. And then sometimes people are traditionally closed off to new methods and ways and ideas of doing things, and innovation gets lost because it's stifled or tramped down. And so that's why independence is so fresh. So anytime I see a country or a group of people that want to go off on their own and do their own thing, that makes me very, very, very excited. So let's see. Another thing that we should think about when it comes to being a business owner, I want people to think about, okay, you're working in corporate America, and I'm not saying quit your job or nothing like that by any stretch of the imagination, but I want people to think about what will you do if the economy turns upside down like it did 10 years ago? How will you survive? If you've got kids that are about to go off to college, what are you going to do? I got caught flat-footed. We had anticipated our son going to college locally, and maybe we were going to come out of pocket somewhere about $5,000 to $10,000. But by the time he got to college, they raised the GPA rates, et cetera, et cetera. They didn't have a scholarship anymore here in our state. So we had to send him away to an out-of-state school, pay out-of-state school tuition, and we got caught kind of flat-footed. We weren't thinking about it. So think about, different ways. There's a gig economy. There are different apps. There's, I think we posted 150 app jobs that you could look at doing in order to stimulate or keep your income coming into your household for those necessities, like rent, mortgage, utilities, food, things of that nature, transportation. Make sure you can cover those costs. Again, don't know if the recession is starting now or if it's going to start sometime in 2020, towards the end of 2020. But you now have time to be prepared for it. You also need to have time to have some cash saved, because let's say there is a business that you're looking at. You don't have to start a brand new business from scratch, okay? Don't have to do that. There will be people who want to retire who are going to want to sell their business, right? And so you can just buy someone else's business. It's kind of like a plug and play type of situation. So these are the types of things that you can be looking at as far as getting involved in the business world. And remember, there's one of the benefits of being a business owner is you get to do things your way. I love the fact that at my firm, we're like a family. So we care about each other. We care about each other's spouses. We care about kids, bonus kids, grandkids, nieces, nephews. We care about everybody. And, it's if you're going to work with people, you spend more time with people you work with than you do the people that you live with. So you should it should be a cool environment. And there are a lot of business owners out here who are doing what I call clean capitalism, where if you work, you get a fair wage. If you do good work, they give you a good wage. And if you do excellent work, they give you an excellent wage or bonuses and things like that. Like, you have more of a chance of letting your impact be seen working with a business owner. Now, I will say, for certain people in certain communities, that when you see business owners, whether it's on Instagram or social media, just because somebody is advertising their business on social media doesn't mean that they have to deeply discount their prices for you. There was an incident where a woman found a caterer on Instagram, and when the person told her it was going to be, $20 a head, et cetera, and the price came out to $5,000, the person freaked out. We can't do that, okay? We have to pay people what they're worth and keep those dollars floating around our community. No discount, no discount, no discount. Pay people what's fair. All right. On the other side of the commercial, we're going to have the Atlanta Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce and my better half, Petrina Bloodworth and Chris Lugo, in the studio on the other side of the commercial break. Lots of people meet friends and potential love interests online through dating sites, social media, or mobile apps. It can be a great way to meet people, but not everyone is who they say they are online. In fact, scams related to online relationships are on the rise. It's a red flag if the person wants to move quickly to personal email or instant messaging to continue talking. Professors Love Quickly claims to be from the United States but is working or traveling abroad. Plans to visit but cancels at the last minute. Ask for money to deal with an emergency or ask you to open a bank account for them. Here are some things you can do. Cut off contact if you suspect a scam. Watch your wallet. Don't wire money, send cash, or put money on gift cards for someone you know only online. Learn more about online relationship scams at aarp.org/fraudwatchnetwork. And we're back with Financial Renaissance with the M's. And we are joined live in the studio with two incredible people. I'm not going to take up a lot of time telling you who they are, but we have Chris Lugo, who is the new Executive Director of the Atlanta Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce, the AGLCC, and Petrina Bloodworth, the current President of the AGLCC. Welcome, both of you.
Thank you. Great to be here.
It's nice. I think you need to get a little closer to that mic, buddy.
Hello.
There we go. All right. So I know that you guys are here because you begged me to come on because there's a community awards dinner coming up.
You twisted your arm.
Yes, you twisted my arm, and I let you in. And this is also a really big year for you guys, right?
Yes, we are celebrating year 25. We've been in existence for 25 years, and so this year is big for us. It's also, as you mentioned, Chris being the executive director, he is our very first full-time employee and executive director, and we're so happy to have him.
I'm happy to see him.
Yeah, it's great to be here. And the dinner for me, just being brand new to the chamber and brand new to Atlanta as well, this is a chance for me even to learn more about who our members are and who our community is right here in Atlanta. So it's exciting.
Well, we get to see it on the dance floor. So I don't know if you have moves like Jagger or not, but I'm telling you, we cut it up.
I will say, back in the day, I did win some dance contest in elementary school, so we may see.
Elementary school.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Is there video footage of that?
Wait, were you doing the sprinkler?
I do have some video footage I will share. Maybe with the chamber. We'll see.
We'll see. So tell us about the dinner. Why is this an important event in our community? Why should people attend? Why should people pay attention? Is there voting? I think I received an email about voting. Tell us what's going on.
Absolutely. So, well, the Atlanta Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce, our focus is really uplifting the LGBTQ plus and allied business community here, right here in Atlanta, and we do work all year long to support our business community. So this dinner is actually that opportunity to then shine the spotlight back on our members and really celebrate the folks who are making Atlanta special, and especially the LGBTQ plus community. So you mentioned we do have awards that are live right now. Voting is ongoing for our members, and we have awards in the categories of Business Person of the Year, Businesswoman of the Year, Businessman of the Year, Rising Star, Guardian Angel, Corporate Ally, Small Business of the Year, and Member of the Year for the Atlanta Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce.
Nice. Now, how much are the tickets?
Oh gosh.
Tickets are $155.
There we go.
Yeah, tickets are $155, and of course, if anyone's looking for more tickets or table, you can just reach out to us, admin@theaglcc.org, or just visit our website, theaglcc.org.
theaglcc.org.
That's right.
All right. Where's the dinner going to be at?
We're at the lovely Four Seasons in Atlanta, so it's
persnickety.
Heck yeah, it's going to be a wonderful.
That's a new
event.
Southern word for you, persnickety.
I love
You're welcome.
persnickety. Perfect. But I think this is, as Petrina mentioned, the organization started back in the mid-1990s as the Greater Atlanta Business Coalition, and over the course of the last 25 years, we've seen so much progress in our community here in Atlanta, and as I get to know the AGLCC and the Atlanta community, I'm just so excited to, again, shine the spotlight back on the folks who make this community special.
Now, I have a question for you, Petrina. How did you get involved with the chamber?
Interesting question. Well, back in 2014, 2015-ish, I seem to recall that my wife was president of the Atlanta Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce.
I was. I was.
And we had a little mishap that
I'm going to call it a financial snafu. I didn't sign any documents, so I can say what I want.
Snafu, as Emma said. And so she twisted my arm into being the interim treasurer.
That's right.
And so because of that, she rolled off of the board. Because I rolled onto the board, that would kind of be a conflict of interest.
Yes.
And so the rest is history.
Yeah, I needed her to do processes and procedures and all that stuff because she's good at that. Well, I want to thank you both. If you're able to stick around, I'd love to talk to you a little bit more. On the other side of the break, we have Terri Denison from the Small Business Administration joining us. Any questions you have, go ahead and throw them in our comment section. See you in 200 seconds. Lots of people meet friends and potential love interests online through dating sites, social media, or mobile apps. It can be a great way to meet people, but not everyone is who they say they are online. In fact, scams related to online relationships are on the rise. It's a red flag if the person wants to move quickly to personal email or instant messaging to continue talking. Professors Love Quickly claims to be from the United States but is working or traveling abroad. Plans to visit but cancels at the last minute. Ask for money to deal with an emergency or ask you to open a bank account for them. Here are some things you can do. Cut off contact if you suspect a scam. Watch your wallet. Don't wire money, send cash, or put money on gift cards for someone you know only online. Learn more about online relationship scams at aarp.org/fraudwatchnetwork. And we are back with Financial Renaissance with the M's. Oh my gosh. There's a whole bunch of business mojo, juju up in this place, in the studio right now. We are joined by the Atlanta Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce Executive Director, Chris Lugo, who's decided to stay in the studio with us. Petrina Bloodworth, who's also my wifager. She's the current president of the AGLCC, and they have a community awards dinner happening, and extra special guests. You don't understand what it means to have this woman in the studio. Her name is Terri Denison, and she is the deputy director District Director of the United States Small Business Administration. Welcome.
Hi.
I'm so glad to have you here. I promised you mimosas, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
I did, and
I
now that I mentioned, I should have mentioned it, right? I promised you. I promised her mimosas. I'll take care of that another time. We'll go out to brunch and Bloody Mary it up or something like that. But welcome. So glad to have you here. I think that having the Small Business Administration is an integral part for business owners, people thinking about becoming business owners, and especially people who have often felt disenfranchised. They are not aware of the programs and the resources that our government has for us. So I'm glad that you're here so you can answer some of these questions. So can we, let's start off by talking about the importance of small businesses.
Okay.
Can you tell us or tell our viewers how important are small businesses to the overall economy?
Okay, well, just in terms of sheer numbers, there's a little over 30 million small businesses in the United States and its territories, as opposed to 19,500 roughly larger businesses. Small businesses provide about a little over, just under half of the private sector jobs and about a third of the export value.
A third of the export value, and when we're talking
About goods being exported.
outside of the country.
Correct.
So small businesses are extremely important to our economy. We're kind of the oil that keeps the economy going, aren't we?
Yeah. They create about 2/3 of the net new jobs.
Two-thirds. Yeah. Right. So what do you think some of the benefits of small business ownership and entrepreneurship versus, say, working in the government sector or working in corporate America?
Okay. Well, one benefit is just in terms of economic well-being. Statistics show repeatedly that people who own their own business have a higher median income than those who are employees of another entity. Especially if you create a business with employees, you tend to create an asset that you can later sell, or you can actually pass on to another family member. And then you also, if you employ people, even if it's just a few, you are actually creating additional wealth for those families and for the community in which that business exists.
Job creation, job creation, job creation. So I have an issue with taxation and small business ownership, but I'm not going to have that conversation with you today. I'll wait till I have someone from the Treasury Department on. So what would you say are, a lot of times people think that, going on the other side and becoming a business owner, that it's just going to be peaches and cream and the land of milk and honey. But we know that that's kind of theoretically the case, but we know that business owners do kind of face a lot of challenges. And what are some of the challenges that you see, your organization, what do you see business owners facing starting businesses and also growing their business?
I think on the startup, a lot of times what happens is that the person just runs with the first idea that they have for a business. They don't refine or test that idea with a third party or do market research. So they're starting out with an uphill battle of trying to make the business work. I think, of course, capitalization is always an issue.
Yeah, getting capital is an issue, and vetting out the ideas of your business is an issue. Back, let's say 2006, 2005, there was a client that we had that retired from, we have lots of corporations here, retired from a corporation and took her retirement money to start her own business. She started it in a section of town that had seasonal traffic. She bought the building with her personal assets, and she started a museum, but the museum was based on her hobby, something she found interesting, but she hadn't done any of the vetting or any of that stuff, and the bank gave her the money. This is, of course, before the last crash, but her retirement's gone, right? Business folded, and now she's working again. And so to me, it's like you really have to take the time and make sure that you vet out the business that you're going to be in, and figure out how much capital you're going to need. I think business owners sometimes on the startup part think that they can bootstrap everything, and sometimes that's not the best way to go about it.
And I would say that in terms of growing a business, if you make it past the startup stage, the key there is managing the growth with the infrastructure. Because a lot of times what happens is you grow yourself out of business.
Yes, I understand that one loud and clear. As I've been going through growth pains over the past year, and there's so many things that you don't think about, and I did realize that you have to have a mentor. You have to have someone guiding you, because to do it on your own becomes very costly and it's ineffective and inefficient, especially when there are other people who have walked the same path that you've walked. It's better to just ask them for their for their support. So what do you think are some ways that the SBA can help a person who is either in that growth phase or that startup phase?
Okay. Well, there's three main ways we help small businesses. Of course, with capital access, counseling, and education, which is a biggie and the one that people tend to think of the least. And then also assistance if they want to enter government contracting. I would say for someone who's looking either to start a business or to work with the existing business that they have, our counseling and training resources are very important.
So what is the counseling part called?
Well, we have several different entities that do the bulk of the counseling and training for us.
Okay.
SCORE, which is our volunteer partner organization. We have small business development centers housed at institutions of higher learning, women business centers, and veteran business outreach centers. In all these cases, the counseling is free.
Oh,
At
wow.
no cost. And then training, some of it is free, some of it you would pay to cover the cost of the training.
Okay, that's a pretty good deal. So you mentioned SCORE, and that's a part of the SBA, or is that another?
It's another entity. We have an ongoing a memorandum of understanding and grantor relationship with SCORE.
Okay.
Primarily retired business owners, but you can now be an existing or current business owner and be a member.
So when I first heard about the Small Business Administration, and you can chime in on this one too, didn't you think they gave money to everybody? Or is it just me that thought that?
I think there are some probably big misconceptions about how to engage with the SBA, or even going to the SBA as a resource, period, and understanding what is or isn't available to somebody who's looking to start or grow their business.
Right. Yeah, so now, does the SBA help businesses obtain financing?
We do, but we do not provide direct financing. We used to many years ago, but
How many years ago, like 20?
probably more than that, 30.
That's why
More
I
like
remember.
30.
That's why I remember that.
So
That's why I
a lot of people
that.
remember that part of our agency's history, but we have not done that in a while. We primarily guarantee loans made by private commercial lenders.
Okay.
So basically, we're saying if something goes wrong, lender, and you did everything you were supposed to do, we'll reimburse you a certain percentage of the balance
So
of that
backed
loan.
by the full faith of the government. So go
Right.
ahead and make this loan, help us with this business owner, get them up and started. And you have different, if a person is looking at starting a business, can they get a loan? Or can they only get a loan if they've been in business and have a track record?
Well, with our guaranteed loan programs, a lot of times it's driven by what the bank is looking at,
Okay.
what their policies are. So some banks do require that you've been in business for a while. There's nothing in SBA's policy requiring that. And about a third of our guaranteed loans do go to businesses that are under 2 years in operation.
Okay. Well, I want to ask you a little bit about some business entities that I know are not eligible, and we will come to that on the other side of our commercial break. Coming up next on Financial Renaissance with the M's, we're in the studio with Christopher Lugo, Petrina Bloodworth, and Terri Denison, and we are talking about small business ownership. Put your comments in the comment section. Lots of people meet friends and potential love interests online through dating sites, social media, or mobile apps. It can be a great way to meet people, but not everyone is who they say they are online. In fact, scams related to online relationships are on the rise. It's a red flag if the person wants to move quickly to personal email or instant messaging to continue talking. Professors Love Quickly claims to be from the United States but is working or traveling abroad. Plans to visit but cancels at the last minute. Ask for money to deal with an emergency or ask you to open a bank account for them. Here are some things you can do. Cut off contact if you suspect a scam. Watch your wallet. Don't wire money, send cash, or put money on gift cards for someone you know only online. Learn more about online relationship scams at aarp.org/fraudwatch network.
This is big business. This is the American
Station Network.
See ya.
Energizing a nation, one listener at a time. It's SSNATL.com. Radio that's not dumbed down.
I had the most absurd nightmare. I was poor and no one liked me.
Can you imagine? It is the most absurd nightmare. Being poor and no one liking you, because I think I could handle being poor if everyone loved me. You know, if I had that happiness factor, but being poor and no one likes you, man, that's usually what happens to people who were kind of up on a pedestal and got kicked down. They have to learn how to kind of hang out with the commoners, you know? Well, listen, we are here on Financial Renaissance with the M's. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. You are listening to us live on SSNATL.com. And if you're watching us on Facebook, or you can watch us on Facebook at Facebook.com/NotDumbDown. Or to keep it simple, just go to Sensation Station Network, hit the like button, and voila, magic. There we are in all our Sunday morning glory. We are in the studio with Chris Lugo, the Executive Director from the Atlanta Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce, Petrina Bloodworth, President and muted Petrina Bloodworth, and President of the AGLCC, and Terri Denison, District Director of the Small Business Administration. Georgia region?
Georgia, yes.
Georgia. That's right, Georgia. So I met Terri almost.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. Yeah. It's been a long while. I won't say how long, but it's been a long time. 2011-ish, 2012-ish, something along those lines. We were speaking before the break about obtaining financing. And the process is, you know, a lot of times when people think about government entities and applications, everyone just thinks, it's going to take forever. You know, is the process to get a loan? What do people need to do to get a loan?
Well, basically, they would, as far as the sequence, they would go to a participating SBA lender, submit an application. That lender would determine whether, in order to make that loan, they would need the SBA's guarantee.
Okay.
And then it's the lender that interacts with SBA to secure the guarantee for the loan.
Now, are there any businesses that are ineligible? Wait, can I guess one? Do you want to guess one?
No, I'm turning it right back over to you.
Chris, come on. I know one, it has to do with marijuana.
Well, yes, that is true.
Is that one of the three?
Well, there's a few, but yeah, marijuana can't because it's still federally illegal, but hemp and hemp-related products are eligible.
Health-related products are hemp-related products
Are eligible.
Are eligible.
Yes.
What are some of the business entities that are ineligible?
Okay, well, nonprofits.
Okay.
You know, we do not provide funding to them. Passive type business model, income business
So
models.
like rental real estate,
Right.
things of that nature.
Right,
Okay.
right. Speculative type.
Okay.
deal.
So I want to be a hedge fund.
Right.
Okay.
Lending.
Okay. All right.
And, yeah,
So
those
yeah,
are the
so you
main
can't be a
ones.
lender. You can't be involved in marijuana at all. You can be involved in hemp-related products if you're lucky enough to get one of those little regulation passes. You cannot be involved in speculative or passive income-related businesses.
Yeah.
That pretty much covers it. All right.
And the other thing I want to point out, we do not provide grants to finance business operations.
You got to go find those on your own. Find a grant writer. All right. On the way back, we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit about federal government contracting, what you have to do, and who is eligible when we come back on Financial Renaissance with the M's. And we are back with Financial Renaissance with the M's. Yeah, we did.
All right.
We were dancing. What were you doing?
I'm just taking it all in right now.
What was that?
Taking it in.
You know, he didn't even move his shoulders. Look at Terry. Terry, she was like the chair dancing queen. Like, hey. That's how I'm doing my old Zoom. But listen, today on Financial Renaissance with the M's, coming up, we have my top 5 news stories for the week. And I have a story about the DEA and their permission to cannabis research access. You don't want to miss that. And then my Emma Knows Money, I'm going to be giving you tips for starting your own business, some things that you should be thinking about. We're in the studio with Terri Denison of the United States Small Business Administration and Chris Lugo, the Executive Director of the Atlanta Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce, the AGLCC.org. They have a community awards dinner happening on
Friday, September 20th at the Four Seasons Hotel.
at the Swank,
That's right.
at the Posh,
It is.
at the Persnickety.
Okay. Yes.
Yes, and yeah, all of the above. Check. Open bar?
It is. For our guests who are attending, we've got the booze will be flowing. And we'll be recognizing a lot of incredible folks and organizations over the course of the evening.
Do you know I was one of the winners of what year was it? 2017? She doesn't know. I was a 2017 Small Business Woman of the Year or something of that nature.
Incredible.
It was.
All
I
right.
was surprised. It was one of the biggest secrets she ever kept from me. Like literally.
All right.
So the Small Business Administration during my tenure and the AGLCC kind of did a memorandum of understanding. And I believe at the time, the president at the time was Obama, and he wanted to make sure that there was inclusivity in the LGBTQ community, and threw down an initiative. And do you want to talk about some of the initiatives that the SBA has with marginalized groups of our country?
Yeah. Well, I think the key is, being the Small Business Administration, we want to be sure that we're reaching all segments of the small business community. So when there are groups that we feel have not necessarily historically felt welcome or felt excluded, we want to be sure to let them know that our programs and resources are available to them. And we have had in the past, and we will continue, based on a conversation Chris and I had a few weeks ago, to collaborate here on a local level.
Oh, look at me hooking stuff up.
All right.
Wink, wink. I just want some swag.
Hey, guaranteed.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. The AGLCC, any type of commerce, business, chamber, anything of that nature. If you're thinking about becoming a small business owner, it is important that you network. And for a lot of us, I'm one of those. I think the new phrase is ambivert. So I am an introvert. But when I go outside, because my job, it's required of my job, I become an extrovert. But Petrina will tell you, after going to whatever event, I go home and I don't speak anymore for about 24 hours because I'm drained. Now, I think that there are a lot of business owners that usually cower when they know that they have to do networking. And can you speak on the networking aspect at all?
Sure. I think, you got to think of it as something to forward your business or to take your business to the next level. And just think of it as a conversation. A lot of times people think, well, I got to go and convince people right on the spot that they need to utilize my programs or services. It's about establishing a relationship that, you invest in, and maybe that connection can happen down the road. But, you got to take time to listen.
People used to tell me, you need to have an elevator pitch. You need to have an elevator pitch. And I'm like, I don't elevator snitch. I'm me. If you're going to do business with me, you're going to do business with me because you like me, not some, canned thing that I have. So what do you want to say about the importance of networking?
Well, I think getting to know your community, other businesses, folks who could potentially be mentors or maybe even be involved in your business in some way is incredibly important. And taking some simple steps, if it is joining your local chamber of commerce or like our chamber, the Atlanta Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce, getting into a room where you have folks who are like-minded and are part of your community, and where perhaps you can feel okay asking some of those questions that you may not feel comfortable asking in a different setting. We take a lot of pride in that, in addition to making sure that you can be yourself with the Atlanta Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce, but we're also going to work to connect you with the SBA and some incredible resources.
Yeah, and that's so important, is that a lot of these chambers, a lot of organizations end up having corporate sponsors. And so as a business owner, if there's a corporation that you want an introduction to, usually that happens during networking. You can come to a networking event and Chris could, introduce you to someone, say at Coca-Cola or Delta or, what is the other one? One of the other ones, UPS or a company like that. But you need to show up and be involved and have conversations, because a simple introduction is not going to do it.
and I do think visibility is important, especially when you're starting a business.
Yeah.
You want to start showing your face and being involved in your community in some way, so that people start to recognize you and to know that you are representing your business or your particular industry.
It's one of those things that as business owners sometimes we think we don't have enough time. I don't have time to network. I don't have time to network. I don't have time to go shake people's hands. I need to, bake my whatever cupcakes or whatever. And people need to know who the oil or who the heart of that business is sometimes. It's not enough to have a business development person come out, especially if you're just kind of starting out or tapping into a new network of people. They need to know who the business owner is sometimes, and the thought process behind it, kind of buy into that. Now, I know federal contracting is, okay, let's see if I can say this right. Is the federal government the largest employer in the country?
We probably are, but we're definitely the world's largest customer in terms of buying goods and services. About $500 billion a year, give or take.
Wow. So there are a lot of people, when they talk about small businesses, they say that they want to get into government contracting. And I know it's not as easy as it sounds. Or is it?
Well, in some ways it is, some ways it's different.
Okay.
I think the main thing is, just as you would with the commercial work, you need to figure out who in the federal government is buying your product or service, how frequently, and how much in terms of dollars, so you can make a business decision. Is this investment in time to create an infrastructure to support government contracting is going to pay off?
Here's what I think. A lot of people work for the federal government. You can only make this so much. No one can make more than the president. I think the president makes about $400,000 a year. So for a lot of people that are in alignment with the federal government, your income is going to be limited. But if you come back as a contractor, you can make millions. Possibly, depending on what it is. But I think a lot of people should think about, if you're looking at the federal space, it is, with the exception of a couple of government shutdowns and things like that. I mean, it's almost guaranteed money. The government is going to keep buying. They've got to, supply their employees and soldiers and things of that nature. So I think the government is a great place to look at when it comes to starting a business. And one of our small business members, Visionary, they do a lot of work in the government space, and I know it's been a pretty decent ride for them. So I just love seeing the excitement with that. What would you say? Are there any, say, counseling, training resources, things of that nature for business owners or for people who want to know the rules and how do you navigate through that government space? What do we do to help people with that?
Sure. Of course, we have information on that. You can access through the SBA website at sba.gov. But also, and this is a national thing as well, Procurement Technical Assistance Centers.
Wait, say that again.
Procurement Technical Assistance Centers.
Procurement.
PTACs.
Okay.
Yeah, I always like to spell it out before I lapse into the acronyms. But basically, they're funded by DOD, and their focus is helping people navigate and learn how to navigate the federal contracting system.
What was it, PTAC?
PTAC.
Procurement. Say it again.
Procurement Technical Assistance Center.
Everybody watching just had to run and go get like a crayon or something like that to write it down. So that's why I had to ask you to repeat it. Can you stick around a little bit? Because I've got there's some more questions that are coming in that I want to ask you. You'll be here. All right. Coming up on Financial Renaissance with the M's, we're going to have my top 5 news stories and my market movers and losers on Sensation Station Network. Yeah. Yeah, we are back on Financial Renaissance with the M's. You are listening to us. It's a digital station. You can listen to us on your computer at ssnatl.com, or you can go to Sensation Station Network on Facebook. Hit the like button. Throw your comments, and you can watch us live in the studio. Now, you can also follow me, Emma Knows Money, on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and on YouTube. I need 100 subscribers, so go ahead and go to my YouTube page. You'll see some the previous episodes of our show, and you can go ahead and subscribe so I can finally get my vanity URL. Thanks. That's important to have a vanity URL. It's like a vanity plate, right?
You need it.
Thank you.
Don't leave home without it.
That's what I say. So before the break, we were talking about networking and the importance of marketing yourself, being your genuine you wherever you go to network. And one of the things, sometimes when we go networking, there's especially there's a lot of clicks. You know what I mean? So you walk into a room, you don't know who to talk to, and you just have to let that go. Find a person that's standing there alone and go talk to them. Hey, Chris, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. You don't have to tell people what you do. You don't have to slam your business card. You just talk to people. You get to know people, and the networking and what you do, it'll come out. You're not going to get a client every time you go to a networking event. That's not what it's about. You're looking at building a cadre, a network of people that can tell other people about what you do. So again, that's what networking is about, is it helps you with your marketing. Now, Terri, is there... We were talking about government contracting and the relative ease. And I know that there are people out there that will help people with government contracting. Do you recommend that, or just stick to the resources that people can find on your website?
I always tell people, start out with what you've already paid for through your tax.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Our tax dollars pay for the Small
Exactly.
Business Administration, so this is a resource that we're not entitled to, that we've paid for already.
Yeah.
We've prepaid.
So there's plenty of resources, that you can go through before you start paying a consultant. At some point, you may have to do that.
Now, can you tell me what a business would have to do to get ready to start contracting with the federal government?
I think, as I mentioned earlier, I think a lot of it has to do with knowing who is buying what you're selling.
Okay.
People tend to want to create a broad brush, and they think, the government's just this big monolithic entity. It's really a different departments, agencies, bureaus, etc. So you have to do that research to see who is buying what you're selling and targeting those entities within the federal government. And that's where the Procurement Technical Assistance Center can be of assistance.
Will you remember that name? The
PTAC.
What does it stand for?
Procurement Technical Assistance Center.
Oh, Chris. Yep. I love it.
I'm listening.
So, yeah, when you show up at the chamber events, you could just walk up to Chris Lugo and say, hey, I was listening the day the SBA lady was on. What is that thing that I need to go to?
Procurement Technical Assistance Center.
See?
Sure, the SBA.gov.
Right.
You can head there. I'm getting it.
So what are some things that when you think about business, I know you're relatively new to the city, relatively new to the position. Has it been 3 months yet?
Just over 3 months.
Just over 3 months,
That's right.
Okay. So what are some of the things that you're seeing as far as when it comes to business owner needs, things of that nature?
Well, I think it depends if they're looking to start a business or grow a business, but their needs are really around developing their network, access to resources or capital, and really I think a lot about us being able to connect the dots between other organizations that can serve as resources, as well as other businesses or individuals who have kind of been there, done that, who may be able to provide that mentor-mentee type of relationship. So I see businesses that are coming to us today. I think first and foremost it's looking at growing their business or referrals, new clients, etc. But we want to help our members of the chamber to think about a well-rounded approach to being involved in their community. Mm-hmm. So not just looking for that next referral, but also how are they going to engage in the larger Atlanta LGBTQ plus community.
Oh yeah, and I will talk when we on the other side of this commercial break. We're going to dig into the directory of the AGLCC. I think it's important that we think about where we spend our money and how we spend our money. If you have questions, go ahead and put it in our comment section on the Sensation Station Network page when we come back on Financial Renaissance with the M's.
Energizing a nation, one listener at a time. It's SSNATL.com. Radio that's not dumbed down.
And we're back with Financial Renaissance with the M's. We got our chair dancers, Chris Lugo and Terri Denison in the studio. Shimmy, yeah. Listen, coming up on Financial Renaissance with the M, during my Market Movers and Losers, we're going to talk about the sneakerhead stocks. We're going to talk about luxury clothing stocks, as well as what's going on in the cannabis world and kind of what's going on with our economy. You know, are we in a recession? Are we flirting with it? You know, where exactly are we? But first, let's get back to the AGLCC, the Atlanta Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce Executive Director Chris Lugo, and the SBA's Terri Denison. So, Terri, can you tell people, this show is broadcast nationwide, worldwide, but we don't care about the world. We care about the U.S. There are people in rural areas in our country that are not close to big cities, and they don't have access to go downtown to their local SBA. So for those people, how can they take advantage of the resources that the SBA has to offer?
Okay. Well, one thing we've been doing specifically with rural is our Rural Strong initiative, teaming up with USDA, U.S. Department of Agriculture, to do outreach in rural areas to talk about what we offer.
Okay.
Also, some of our resource partners tend to be distributed beyond just the main cities, like where the district office is located.
Okay.
And then, of course, there's always SBA.gov.
And there's also, is there SBDC part of you too?
Yes, Small Business Development Center is a SBA program. SBA funds part of it, and then an institution of higher learning funds the other part.
Okay.
Here in Georgia, we work with the University of Georgia, but that program is available across the United States and the territories.
Okay. And Mr. Lugo.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good.
So what type of resources does the chamber provide? Are there any certifications, things of that nature that people who are looking at, whether it's getting into government contracting or getting involved, or I forgot the word I'm looking for, but if they want to do business with other corporations, what can they do, or how can the AGLCC help?
Absolutely. So the Atlanta Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce, we provide lots of educational programming, learning events, et cetera, to really help our business community either start or grow their operation. But more specifically, we are an affiliate of the National LGBT Chamber of Commerce, so the NGLCC.org. They are a certifying body for LGBT-owned businesses. So that's if you have 51% or more LGBT-owned, owners of your organization, and really when it comes to supplier diversity, which has really started to take off with larger corporations all around the country, and especially here in Atlanta, the LGBT-owned certification, and we are the local certifying body, that helps those businesses have another part of their story to tell to these organizations to stand out. So you'll also see like minority-owned businesses, women-owned businesses, LGBT-owned is in that same light to help folks get business, veteran-owned businesses as well.
This is a veteran-owned business.
Absolutely.
Some of the numbers, so again, why I am ringing the bell about the recession, why I'm ringing the bell about business ownership is it is better to be in control of what happens with your income if you're in control of it. There's no other way. As a business owner, if things get tight, you can reduce your income to keep your staff. There are a lot of things that you can do. I call it, again, clean capitalists. So check this out. 40% of the 226 economists surveyed a couple of months ago here in the U.S. believe that our country will be in a recession by the end of 2020. And the other 60% of these economists believe that the recession will begin in 2021 or later. And this is the source is the National Association of Business Economics. So again, as a human, a frustrated human, there comes a time where you have to decide how much you're willing to take from other outside forces. And even if it's not leaving your 9-to-5 job, make sure you're doing something else to have income coming in so that you can pay for childcare, health care, food, utilities, mortgage, transportation, things of that nature. It's the gig economy. 4G gave us things like Uber and Lyft and Instacart, one of my favorite things in the whole wide world. And then 5G is coming, and that's also going to change the playing field. So it's very important that you, as a worker, as a person, figures out how to take advantage of technology as things change. The world is going to continue changing. We were at a baseball game last night, not last night, whatever night it was, Friday night. All my nights and days are like this. And I remember looking at the scoreboard. They've got the prettiest scoreboard in, is it called Battery Park? What's the Braves thing? Battery, Atlanta, something, I don't know, wherever it was. They've got the most beautiful scoreboard. But I was thinking like 100, 150 years ago, or when in the 1800s, they actually had scoreboard like changers, like people behind the scoreboard who would put up the numbers. Well, when we had advances in technology, we now have digital scoreboards. So there wasn't a need for that person. So you have to pay attention to the jobs. You have to pay attention to where we are in our economy and look at the careers and the jobs that are going to be going away. If you have a kid that's going into college, don't have them major in something that a robot's going to be able to do in a few years. That is a waste of money, and it's going to hurt their dignity and their pride, and they're going to feel dejected. We have to really think about those things. The other is, as business owners, as humans, as community people who are bucking up against the system, you have to think about where we're spending our money and who we're spending our money with. And instead of buying from a big name, maybe you pay a couple dollars extra and you buy from that local business owner, because that local business owner, that money is going to stay in your community. With the AGLCC, go to the directory. Look at the People's Better Business Bureau rating. There are allied companies in the directory as well. Think about what you're doing with your dollars and where you're spending your dollars, especially if we end up in a recession, because that's what can keep our communities afloat. I want to thank you, Terri, for being here with us today. I am honored to have you sitting with me in the studio this morning. I appreciate, I owe you some lunch or something like that. And Christopher Lugo.
Thank you. It's a pleasure being here.
Thank you so much for being here, and I can't wait to see you on the dance floor at the dinner.
You got it.
All right.
I'll see you on the dance floor.
Lots of people meet friends or potential love interests online through dating sites, social media, or mobile apps. It can be a great way to meet people, but not everyone is who they say they are online. In fact, scams related to online relationships are on the rise. It's a red flag if the person wants to move quickly to personal email or instant messaging to continue talking. Professors Love Quickly claims to be from the United States but is working or traveling abroad. Plans to visit but cancels at the last minute. Ask for money to deal with an emergency or ask you to open a bank account for them. Here are some things you can do. Cut off contact if you suspect a scam. Watch your wallet. Don't wire money, send cash, or put money on gift cards for someone you know only online. Learn more about online relationship scams at aarp.org/fraudwatchnetwork.
Ad council. Advertising has us chasing cars and clothes, working jobs we hate, so we can buy shit we don't need.
Yeah, we are back with my market movers and losers. Welcome back to Financial Renaissance with the M's. All right. What was going on in the markets this week? We've got that. It looks like the trade war is official. I thought our president was going to change his mind or, get on the phone with China and come up with some resolution. But it looks like we're going to duke this out. And, it's about time. But, let's look at what's been going on. All right, so the Dow Jones Industrial Average finished the week up. The S&P 500 finished the week up. NASDAQ finished down. The U.S. Construction home market finished up. Now, Where we have a little bit of question or cause to pause, again, has to do with the 10-year and the 2-year Treasury. The 10-year and 2-year Treasury have inverted, meaning that the 2-year Treasury has been paying more than the 10-year Treasury. When that happens for 7 of the last recessions that we've had, that is one of the precursors. And there's a couple of other triggers, things that happen that usually tell us that we are smack dab getting ready to have a recession. So now, one of the things that is happening around the world has to do with supply and demand. In Europe right now, their bonds are paying negative interest rates. I did a story about Denmark a couple of weeks ago, and how if you buy a house, the interest rates are negative. So you buy a house for $100,000, you could possibly make $5,000 a year from the bank. Like, they're going to pay you to own a house. Go figure. But because of their negative interest rates, everybody else around the world right now is looking at a place to park money. And the best place to park money is going to be with the United States of America, with our treasury bonds, with our T-bills, T-notes, et cetera, et cetera. And so because there are a lot of people flocking to our treasuries, it's going to drive the rate down a little bit. So that's why we're seeing that pressure happening with the 10-year interest rate. So what the federal government, or I should say the Treasury Department, is looking at doing is releasing 50 and 100-year bonds. Now, they may do this at 3% yield, okay? So by them doing this, they're going to end up refinancing the United States debt. We are in hot to water right now economically. So as they do that, if they refinance the United States debt, then there will be money for us to have these infrastructure things happen. So the people who are going to be buying these 50 and 100-year debts are going to be corporations, other countries, things of that nature. But this will be a good thing for the United States if things go off without a hitch. Now, Puma is launching its own smartwatch. It's going to cost about $275, you know. But it's this watch has actually been made by Fossil. You know, Fossil does some, you know, rickety watches. And so I just have a thing about buying, you know, eyewear and watches that are licensed by other people. That's just not how I like to move. Now, when we look at the corporate bond market right now, it is on fire. The corporate bond market, meaning that companies are borrowing or have borrowed $74 billion in investment-grade stock or bonds this week. So the last time that 74 billion or more was borrowed, actually, it's never happened. Since they started tracking this since 1972, companies have been borrowing more money than ever before. So these corporations, since last week Tuesday, Coca-Cola, Disney, Apple, they have sold notes, their own bonds, as the yields have dropped. So that's something that we're going to have to take a look at is what's going on with corporate America and what they're borrowing. Now, the Federal Reserve says that Donald Trump, that his trade fight is cutting the U.S. economic growth. Now, I'm shocked to finally hear the Fed like kind of snap back at Mr. Trump, but they're saying that Trump's trade war is crimping economic growth to a 2% pace. And they're saying that Mr. Trump has also said that while Obama was president, a 2% pace of growth is unacceptable. So the Federal Reserve is calling Donald Trump on his stuff, trying to figure out why, what he's doing with this trade war. Researchers have examined hundreds of corporate earnings call-in transcript. Now, corporate earnings calls, when you buy stock or if you have mutual funds and a large share portion of it, you own a lot of the stocks, you get to be involved in the corporate earnings calls, and you can hear what they have to say. And right now, they're saying that they're scared because of the trade war. So there's going to be some fallout on this, and we'll have that when we come back on my top 5 news stories for the week on Financial Renaissance with the M's. Lots of people meet friends and potential love interests online through dating sites, social media, or mobile apps. It can be a great way to meet people, but not everyone is who they say they are online. In fact, scams related to online relationships are on the rise. It's a red flag if the person wants to move quickly to personal email or instant messaging to continue talking. Professors Love Quickly claims to be from the United States but is working or traveling abroad. Plans to visit but cancels at the last minute. Ask for money to deal with an emergency or ask you to open a bank account for them. Here are some things you can do. Cut off contact if you suspect a scam. Watch your wallet. Don't wire money, send cash, or put money on gift cards for someone you know only online. Learn more about online relationship scams at aarp.org/fraudwatchnetwork.
You're looking for that ratchet? You're in the wrong place. It's the nation's urban internet station, Sensation Station Network.
Lots of people meet friends and potential love interests online through dating sites, social media, or mobile apps. It can be a great way to meet people, but not everyone is who they say they are online. In fact, scams related to online relationships are on the rise. It's a red flag if the person wants to move quickly to personal email or instant messaging to continue talking. Professors Love Quickly claims to be from the United States but is working or traveling abroad. Plans to visit but cancels at the last minute. Ask for money to deal with an emergency or ask you to open a bank account for them. Here are some things you can do. Cut off contact if you suspect a scam. Watch your wallet. Don't wire money, send cash, or put money on gift cards for someone you know only online. Learn more about online relationship scams at aarp.org/fraudwatchnetwork. And we are back with Financial Renaissance with the M's. He's got me on this speed hop type thing. All right, I'm good with that. All right, top 5 stories of the week. What are the best places in these here United States of America to own a vacation rental and get the best rate of return out of it? You know, you got to pay attention. Again, this is not me. This is Market Watch's Jacob Passy, who came up with this, with all the numbers and the data. And again, you never know. With the recession coming up, you got some cash stashed aside, there may be a great opportunity to take advantage of some vacation rentals. All right, coming in at number 13 is PCB, Panama City Beach, Florida. Number 12, Gulf Shores, Alabama. Blue Ridge, Georgia. Big Sky, Montana. Fort Bragg, Key West, Myrtle Beach. And then Dauphin Island, Kissimmee, Florida, Whittier, North Carolina, Davenport, Florida. And then coming in at number 2 is Killington, Vermont. And the number 1 place to own a rental for the best rate of return is going to be Sevierville, Tennessee. Not sure how to say that, but their cap rate is 10.3%. And that's a metrics that's used to determine commercial real estate that cross-references the rental income with the housing price. So those are the best places to own vacation rentals. All right, Andrew Yang, remember that guy? He was on the stage during the presidential debates, the Democratic presidential debates. I don't know if he's a Democrat. It seems more like an independent to me, but my personal opinion. He's one of the ones, he's running for the highest office of the land, and he is a forward thinker, and he's been looking at our economy, and he thinks that one of the ways to fix it is to offer $1,000 to every person in America by taxing the technology companies who currently are not paying a lot in taxes. So one of the things I want you guys to know is that this is not a new idea. Richard Nixon, Donald Rumsfeld, and Dick Cheney all were involved in a test of this in rural Pennsylvania and parts of New Jersey in the 70s, okay? But because of the Nixon administration's problems with Watergate, etc., it went away. So what's happening now is in Stockton, California, a nonprofit is giving a group of about 125 people $500 a month as a test run for the universal basic income. Now, Andrew Yang, he was saying $1,000 to every American. Senator Kamala Harris is saying that $500 should go to working families. So I don't know how they define that. But in Stockton, what's happening is the co-founder of Facebook is ponying up the money through a nonprofit to fund this for this universal basic income. And again, this is a test run, and I think it's something that is vastly needed.
Let it be written.
And so it shall be done.
So let it be done.
That's right. All right. So we talked about the trade war, and there is definitely going to be some fallout. I'm talking timber, whatever you need to yell to tell people to watch out. There has been collateral damage, and the collateral damage is with the IMF index, and that has to do with manufacturing. The IMF index has fallen below 50, And this is another one of those telltale signs that our economy, which has been on its longest expansion in history, is now going to start contracting. So it's down less than 1%, but again, it is a trigger. In July, it was at 51.2%, and then for the month of August, it fell to 49.1%. Out of the 18 manufacturing industries, only 9 of them reported growth in the month of August, and only 3 of those reported gains in new orders of business. So again, manufacturing is one of those things that's taken a beating. So if you know someone in manufacturing, you need to tell them what to look out for.
You moved the cemetery, but you left the bodies, didn't you? But you left the bodies and you only moved the headstones! You only moved the headstones! Why? Why?
All right, next story up is the DEA, the United States Drug and, I don't know what DEA stands for, Drug and Enforcement Agency, whatever. Yeah, the DEA has been sued over medicinal marijuana. That's right. There is a woman by the name of Dr. Sue Sisley. Find her and thank her, okay? She is the head of the Scottsdale Research Institute, and she is suing the federal government for access to the research that the federal government partnered with the University of Mississippi to conduct research on federally approved medicinal cannabis, to see what the effects are on the body, the mind, blah, 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 blah. Well, this research, because it was paid for by the federal government, is supposed to be available to everyone who's looking to get into that cannabis business, especially the medicinal, so they can figure out what to do to make good products for the people. But old Mississippi is not sharing. When it's time for them to give information to people, they're not doing it, or they're giving them, garbage information. So what Dr. Sue Sisley has done is she has broken up the institutional cannabis research monopoly. So if you were looking to dabble your toe into medicinal marijuana or something like that, she is making the headways for that. Now, in true government fashion, there are only 33 current applications of people who can do, who want to do research on medicinal marijuana. And we know how things are with the government. They're going to take their time, et cetera, et cetera. But the DEA is now saying that applicants will not qualify due to current or previous cannabis industry involvement. So if you are in Colorado, Washington, D.C., Washington State, California, Oregon, any of the 27 states where cannabis, medicinal or recreational, is legal, and you're involved in the business, the government will not allow you to take part in any of the research because to them, federally, it is against the law. Now, here's another rip. Individuals who have been convicted of cannabis crimes do not qualify for many portions of the cannabis-related industry. This is something that you're going to have to talk to your Congress people about, your senators about, because, this just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. As they say on South Park, when in doubt, blame Canada, blame Canada. We've got this thing about Canada and their fine Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau. We even caught Melania Trump slipping, not knowing cameras were around, and was looking googly-eye at this guy. But now I'm starting to wonder if she was looking at him googly-eye because she found out where Canada was in terms of healthcare. So I'm not really sure if Justin Trudeau is trying to one-up Donald Trump, if he's trying to be petty, or if he is really just looking at getting reelected. But Canada is giving their drug pricing regulatory system a massive overhaul. It's one of the biggest steps in lowering drug prices in the last 30 years. They want to lower drug prices for all Canadians. So that's what they're trying to accomplish. So that's kind of the cause. And then they're going to evaluate all of their drug company vendors. Okay, so what does this have to do with the United States? All right, so for us in the U.S., we always hear that Canada has a better health system than we do. But while Canada does have universal basic income, what they don't provide is drug coverage. So if you have prescription drugs that you need, Canada is the 4th worst in the world, out of all the developed countries as far as drug prices are concerned, all right? So Justin's not that cute now. So Canadians like us here in the United States of America, 1 in 10 Canadians are not filling their prescriptions because of the cost. In the United States, 1 out of 4 people aren't filling their prescriptions because of cost. Now, again, what does Canada's overhaul have to do with us? Here's what. they're kicking our drug companies out of their plan. Okay, they're kicking the United States and Switzerland out of their drug company plan that they're overhauling because our drug prices are too much. So they're kicking out, so who's going to lose is going to be Johnson & Johnson, Novartis, and Merck. They're going to lose about $6.6 billion in revenue in the next couple of years because they've been kicked out of the Canada system. Now, our current president wants to overhaul our healthcare system and the drug prices. And they had planned to import cheaper drugs from Canada. The White House also says that their proposal to reduce the cost of drugs, it's going to greatly reduce what Medicare pays for some of our most expensive drugs by changing our drug pricing to match other countries like Canada. So my question is it Canada as them being the fourth worst, or Canada under their new, standard? So this is one of those questions and things that you have to ask Uncle Mitch McConnell. You can reach out to him at McConnellSenate.gov, or, Google online for his phone number. But this is something you want to talk to Mitch McConnell about. Oh, okay. Well, coming up, we have my Emma Knows Money. I'm going to give you tips on what to do as if you're starting a business, some tips and tricks that you need to think about for running your own business when we come back on Financial Renaissance with the M's. Lots of people meet friends and potential love interests online through dating sites, social media, or mobile apps. It can be a great way to meet people, but not everyone is who they say they are online. In fact, scams related to online relationships are on the rise. It's a red flag if the person wants to move quickly to personal email or instant messaging to continue talking. Professors Love Quickly claims to be from the United States but is working or traveling abroad. Plans to visit but cancels at the last minute. Asks for money to deal with an emergency or asks you to open a bank account for them. Here are some things you can do. Cut off contact if you suspect a scam. Watch your wallet. Don't wire money, send cash, or put money on gift cards for someone you know only online. Learn more about online relationship scams at aarp.org/fraudwatchnetwork.
And so a new American industry has been born.
Sensation Station Network.
And we are back with Financial Renaissance with the M's. This is the Emma Knows Money segment, and this segment of Emma Knows Money is brought to you by AARP Georgia. So let's talk about what you need to do to start your own business. So step one should be to do your research. Before you do anything, do your research. Before you even talk to other people about it, make sure you know about non-disclosure agreements. Look that up too, but definitely do your research. Step two, write a business plan. But a business plan doesn't have to be 30 pages. Keep it brief, especially if you're just starting up. Keep it very brief and keep it simple. But write a business plan because you may need that, especially if you're trying to get some financing. Now, you should intimately know your product or service. And what that means is, number one, you should know what that product is made of, and number two, you should be able to tell people what the features and benefits of said product or service is. The fourth thing you should do is write a marketing plan based on your research, okay? And again, bullet point this out. The marketing plan, strategic plans, these are where the rubber meets the road. This is how you're going to start your business off day one from the ground running, okay? Then step 5 is doing your financial projections. And this is something that I absolutely hate. But, this is where if you have an accountant, an attorney, people like that, they can help you out with it. It doesn't have to be very confusing. But just do some preliminary numbers so that you have a budget, or you just kind of have a floor to work off of. All right, step 6 is come up with your business name and brand strategy. Some businesses can get away with using their own business name. Now, if it's a business that you're looking at growing and having other people buy into it, you may not want to use your business name because it's easier for people to buy into a name like Acme than Smith and Associates, and their last name isn't Smith. So definitely have your brand strategy and do the research on that too. Now, deciding on which legal structure is right for you. You can go on the SBA.gov's website and look up the different business entities, but you do want to have a conversation with a CPA or a business attorney to make sure that you have the right business entity for you, and also thinking about growing in the future. Now, fundraising for your business, you have to ask a couple of questions. How much equity are you willing to sell? Meaning, if you own a business and you're 100% owner, if you want venture capital money, you're going to have to give up a piece of ownership. What piece of ownership are you willing to give up? And then you also have to think about how much money you think you're going to need from, like whether it's a bank, etc., and what you think your revenues are going to be or losses are going to be for the first couple of years. Now, every business owner should set up an accounting system. You can do this for under $10. You can use a spreadsheet. But I implore, if you are a business owner, you want to think about hiring a bookkeeper. You can even teach a high school kid how to do it, and I would suggest that. But you, as a business owner, you need to get off those numbers, have somebody focus on what you do really, really well, and find somebody that can help you with those numbers. Now, make sure you have business insurance. If an employee falls, a visitor falls, your website goes down and gets hacked, there's a fire and your equipment is damaged, tornadoes, storms, earthquakes, hurricanes, etc. Make sure you can pick yourself up, move someplace else, and insurance will pay for your business to continue going, all right? Now, you can also set up an office or workspace affordably. Some people decide to work out of home. Make sure you keep good records because you can, in some cases, deduct a portion of the home that you live in. But make sure you speak to a CPA about what is deductible and what is not deductible. The tax laws changed in 2017, and things aren't as they used to be, so it may or may not matter for you. And then, getting your professional website up. You know, there's a lot of free tools out there, or you can just pay somebody. If you're not good at that stuff, throw a couple bucks together, find somebody on one of those websites like Fiverr or Upworks or something like that, and pay them to do it. Then figure out about marketing your business, and you have to measure your results. You know, you want to look at search engine optimization, social media marketing, content marketing, email marketing, mobile marketing, local marketing, market, network. That's what you got to do. And then, of course, sell like there's no tomorrow. And selling is more than just jamming your business card in everybody's hand. Always selling is make sure that you're always ready and available to talk to people about your business, whether you're at the grocery store, the dental office, the doctor office, sitting in the lounge while you're waiting for your car to be prepared. Always be prepared to talk to people about what it is you do if they ask you. And then set up a free cloud business service. Make sure you have cyber insurance and make sure you have redundancies. If something happens to your office and you're on the East Coast, can you pick up and go on the West Coast and work from there? So those are just some of the tips for starting a business. And again, the Small Business Administration has resources for you. Go to sba.gov and they've got tons of resources and help for you to start your own business. And this message was brought to you by AARP, M&O's Money. See you on the other side of the commercial. Lots of people meet friends and potential love interests online through dating sites, social media, or mobile apps. It can be a great way to meet people, but not everyone is who they say they are online. In fact, scams related to online relationships are on the rise. It's a red flag if the person wants to move quickly to personal email or instant messaging to continue talking. Professors Love Quickly claims to be from the United States but is working or traveling abroad. Plans to visit but cancels at the last minute. Ask for money to deal with an emergency or ask you to open a bank account for them. Here are some things you can do. Cut off contact if you suspect a scam. Watch your wallet. Don't wire money, send cash, or put money on gift cards for someone you know only online. Learn more about online relationship scams at aarp.org/fraudwatchnetwork. And we are back with Financial Renaissance with the M's. Thank you so much for joining us today. What a crazy show we had. Lots of resources. We had Chris Lugo and Petrina Bloodworth with the Atlanta Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce. They came here to talk to us about their community awards dinners, which is happening in the Atlanta area on September 20th at the Four Seasons Hotel. You can go online at theaglcc.org to buy tickets. I think they're about $1.50, and it's open bar, and then it's going to be a DJ after. Oh, I'll be on the dance floor, moving like Jagger. And then we had U.S. Small Business Administration, Terri Denison. She was here to tell us to take advantage of our tax dollars. That's right. use the resources provided by the U.S. Small Business Administration. We pay for it. You might as well tap into it. You can go to sba.gov. Now, wanted to share with you a little bit about medicinal marijuana. Protected medical cannabis sales for 2019 alone is going to be $5.9 billion, okay? And they're looking at medicinal marijuana having a cure for chronic pain, PTSD, sleep disorders, anxiety, epilepsy, nerve pain, cancer side effect, Tourette syndrome, and glaucoma. Now, we all knew about glaucoma. That's been the oldest joke in the book. But hey, I understand that some of you want to give your co-workers some brownies. Don't do that. That's against the law. Heard some chatter about that. That's not good. Anyway, listen, coming up, we have Sensational Smooth Sunday. And as always, one love, one heart. Please, let's be good humans and make our ancestors proud.
Some boy not know this. Them only come around like tourists on the beach with a few club sodas. Better